Cam just uploaded an anti-Israel ad.
These leaders just can't keep up.
My name is Cameron Kasky, and I'm running for Congress because there's no real path forward for most Americans. You and your family are working all week just to spend most of your paycheck on rent and health care. Meanwhile, the richest people in our country are telling us that we can't afford real solutions like social housing and Medicare for all. No, we can only afford genocide, Palantir mass surveillance contracts, and ICE thugs. I'm running because we need people in Congress who are going to do something about it and work on laws that help all Americans. Isn't that crazy and radical? Turns out we actually can build a society where we're feeding children instead of tearing them away from their families, where streets are lined with federal housing and small businesses instead of the National Guard.
Well, we're gonna have troops everywhere.
No, I've been taking on members of Trump's regime since I was literally a teenager. Senator Rubio, can you tell me right now that you will not accept a single donation from the NRA in the future? I never dreamed I would get into politics, but then a disturbed 19-year-old was able to legally purchase an assault rifle and murder 17 people at my high school. My classmates and I learned the hard way that this shooting didn't happen in spite of the American system, it happened because of it. And this is a system that is failing you at every turn. But out of that tragedy, my classmates and I were able to get millions of people all across the country to take it to the streets and call for real change. Now, nearly a decade later, the country is even more violent than it was. And we need leaders who aren't going to coddle their billionaire donors, who won't support a genocide, and who aren't going to settle for flaccid incrementalism. New Yorkers don't put up.
Did you have this guy on stream not too long ago? Yes.
With hate and bigotry. New Yorkers
Cam is a
look out for
HasanAbi
one
head.
another, and New Yorkers lead the way, which is why it's up to us to take back our future. I'm Cameron.
Isn't that the girl that like went viral on Twitter? The cute girl that went viral on Twitter? There was like a bunch of like, what was it? Like hot girls for Zoran girls that were talking about how they were voting for Zoran and everyone was like losing their minds over it. There were people that were just like super mad.
I'm Cameron Kasky, and I'm running for Congress because it feels like our party has no future. So we need to invest in a new generation of leaders to take on the fight. Please donate to me online. All of my opponents have a lot of very rich friends. I can't necessarily say the same thing about myself. I'm Cameron.
That's Ella Devi.
Kasky, and I approve this message.
This guy's such a fraud grifter. What the hell? Why? Why are you saying that? Brother, he is literally a community member. Jesus Christ. Mike doesn't like him? Okay. Oh, well. He refused to condemn Hasan Piker. Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah. This guy, Pete Panuccio, retired 39-year-old veteran of the NYPD, says, when is the next interview with Hasan Piker? Your constituents would like to know. And it's like, bro, you're a 39-year-old retired cop. Why the f do you know who I am? And Cam Kasky said, I would like to aggressively denounce my good friend Hassan the Hun, someone who's been very supportive to me on a personal level for years and who I harshly stand against with fear and contempt. I learned from comments on a clip from his appearance on your stream that an insane amount of people think that there was no school shooting law. That's crazy. Yeah, keep trying this chicken little act about Hassan, old man. He's running against Jack Schlossberg in New York 12. Going to be a hard primary? No, the f it's not. Jack Schlossberg is like devoid of any policies. He's like, he is inevitably going to drop out. His presence in this race is not a bad thing. It boosts the national prominence of the campaign. Him being Kennedy royalty does not mean anything. He's a TikToker, bro. What are you guys talking about? The real problem is it's a crowded primary. If anything, it'll help siphon votes away from others that could be more impactful against Cameron's run. Yeah, his Israel position on his website is incredible. His Israel position is so airtight, by the way, that Zay Squirrel basically endorsed him. Do you understand how, like, that's like a bad empanada endorsement? Like, do you understand what that means? Squirrel won't endorse me. There's like 3 total endorsements you've ever gotten. Look at this. Why this person thinks Cam is a grifter. Let's see. What was underemployment? The guy's a fraud grifter. Blake, he posted a video of him being mean to a Palestinian. Yeah, I mean, okay, let me explain something to you, okay? Cameron is pretty young and also definitely moved through the motions of being somewhat of a liberal Zionist towards the direction of anti-Zionism over the course of these last 2 years. I am, by my position as someone who has been a loud and proud anti-Zionist for many, many years, I'm a lot more understanding of people changing their perspective over time. It's called growth. As a matter of fact, this is why I vehemently disagree with my left flank anti-Zionist counterparts on methods of how to achieve a broader coalition and more successful movement, really, that can have impact down the line. Okay, examples I have shown is obviously Quentin Quarantino, who I interviewed on the stream, who also comes from a Jewish neighborhood. He is Jewish himself and went from being pro-Israel after October 7 to moving in the direction of liberal Zionism to anti-Zionism, and became such an avowed anti-Zionist that he literally was on the Sumud flotilla, right? He got detained and kidnapped by the state of Israel. Those, not Tarantino, Quarantino, the Instagram account. He owns the Instagram account, Quentin Quarantino. I think a lot of people are less forgiving of this sort of thing. Not Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino is a massive Zionist and literally lives in Israel. Hold on. Where's the other one? Where's his video on Israel? He did a video, 58-second video on Israel alone as well.
We need to stop providing aid to the state of Israel, and I'm going to tell you why. The colonial violence we've seen this country carrying out will not stop with the genocide in Gaza. It will not stop with the illegal annexation of the West Bank. This was never about the hostages. This was never about Hamas. This is part of a bigger and deadlier colonial project. Bibi Netanyahu, a wanted war criminal, has publicly stated that while his extremist government carries out the genocide in Gaza, he feels like he is on a, quote, historic mission and feels a connection to a greater Israel vision. So what is greater Israel? The concept was enshrined in 1977 in the founding charter of Netanyahu's Likud party, which states that from the Mediterranean Sea to the River Jordan, there will only be Israeli sovereignty. So when people protesting crimes against humanity say from the river to the sea, let's be clear, they're not the only people talking about this. A two-state solution, the popular moderate position for Democrats, is not enough. If we continue to arm the state of Israel, the colonial violence will only expand.
Yeah, come on. Be for real. Look at that. The coveted squirrel endorsement. That is insane. Okay. I looked at the campaign website and Cameron Kasky states clearly that it supports an actual arms embargo on Israel, explicitly rejecting the offensive defensive arms that J Street Zionist propaganda used by AOCIA and Bernie Sanders to launder their opposition for it. And support for, by the way, I like that the anti-Zionist flank has like their own Maoist standard English now to launder their opposition to it and support for continuing to send 99% of weapons and essential military infrastructure to a regime they pretend to believe is committing genocide. And unlike AOCIA/Sanders, Kasky also states he will support sanctions against Israel. As I have been saying for a long time, this is the minimally necessary position for anyone who is actually anti-genocide to have, and it is the only way to stop and punish it. If you don't support an actual arms embargo and sanctions on Israel, you are lying when you pretend to believe it's committing a genocide. Every political candidate who claims to be anti-genocide must be judged by if they meet this minimal standard, and I'm glad that Kasky has clearly stated alongside Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Summerlee, Al Green, Thomas Massey, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Wait, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm just laughing at the AOCIA mention. This is correct. This is the appropriate position to take, and Democrats should be taking this loudly and proudly, even from a partisan perspective. It's utterly ridiculous that they do not. You were in their last thread. Here, Sarah Hurwitz refers to Soviet anti-Zionism as being responsible for opposition to a precious Israeli death cult today. This is probably confusing to those unfamiliar with the Zionist ideology, but it's a core tenet of it. All Zionists from Barry Weiss to Ben Shapiro to Chuck Schumer and Rahm Emanuel and Josh Shapiro believe that Palestinians aren't real, but an invention of the KGB and the Soviet Union to oppose Israel as it was allied in the U.S. in the Cold War. So Palestinians as nationality and people are a Soviet anti-Zionist invention, and all the Zionist Israeli mass and murder from them eliciting opposition is just a continuation of Soviet communist evil plot against the Zionist Jew Ubermenschen. Literally all of them believe this. Barry Weiss was taught this as a toddler by a deranged Zionist father and mother. This is why you look at Zionist discourse, it's filled with the most insane fanatical anti-Soviet hysteria. They constantly talk about how horrific the Soviet Union was and used as a primary metaphor for evil today. Leading anti-Soviet Cold Warrior neocon CIA assets were fanatical Zionist Jews like Richard Pipes, as detailed in this thread. While the USSR was initially pro-Israel and played a role in its development, They very quickly became anti-Israel, as Israel was a base of operations in the Cold War for the United States of America, to successfully, as they did, destabilize any matter of pan-Arabic nationalism that was oftentimes socialist in nature and also not in support of Western colonialism, because it was a response to Western colonial design. Although, for modern Russia, of course, the allegiances are more complicated than that. Did you see the populist billionaire running for in California? Yes. I wish you'd stop shouting out people who lie about you and what you say. Oh, you mean squirrel? I don't care. Like I said, everyone's doing their own things.